Welcome to DCember. Cue Justice League theme. Yes, I am Marcus Shadow. This is the Shadows Maw, and I am here to show you the light. And I will be shedding said light on probably the most hotly debated DC movie ever made, at least in my opinion.
If it's
Sir,
a movie and you're the movie guy, shouldn't you be showing us the lights, camera, and action?
touche. But yes, this movie is this movie is certainly controversial, definitely divisive amongst DC fans. Yes, that's right, folks. I'm going to be talking about Man of Steel. Yeah, I know. It's been a long time coming. I finally watched the movie.
Coming, and the tables turned around.
Indeed. But yes, joining me, as you heard, we have the comic guy of the X-Pound, Chriz, aka The Mole.
Hello. And I made the joke previously, but I will make it again. I'm in my Superman Pope hat for the purpose of review.
Good. So we have Mole Dickery.
Exactly.
Fair
And
enough.
Wasp Pew.
Boo. Hopefully she'll be back. There she is. Also joining us, we have James Phoenix.
Hello. I'm withholding water
And-
from thirsty people.
Fair enough. And for some reason, we have on camera Pew.
She's not on camera anymore. She turned it off instantly.
Okay, fair enough. Yes, we have Anastasia Laserbeam, the Pew Pew.
Hey!
Oh, weirdness, but okay. So, yes, as I said before, Man of Steel! Yeah, I finally saw the movie. Actually, I went into it expecting not to like it too much based on what little I had seen, the parts I had seen and what I'd heard about it. I actually really like this movie. This was a really well put together movie. The parts I expected not to like, I actually had no problems with, to be honest. But we'll go top to bottom. Yes, there's going to be spoilers because we will be talking about the hotly debated issues. But let's start with Krypton. I thoroughly enjoyed the fact that it started with Krypton and that they spent some time on Krypton, showed the politics and stuff. And come on, Russell Crowe's Jor-El was fucking badass.
Pew, would you be able to do us a favor when you're not speaking? Would you be able to press mute?
Okay.
Because
Right,
all we're hearing is loud.
Sorry.
Thank you.
But yeah, I really did like the Krypton stuff. So it makes me actually want to see what they're going to do with Krypton, the TV series, because supposedly it's going to be based off of that. But
It'll be
Jor-El's father.
It'll be the same thing, but less of a budget. But no.
Yeah.
I liked what they did with Krypton. They made it come alive. They made it feel like an alien world instead of resorting to just like the previous one where they just made everything crystal. Because if you've seen the comics, it is an alive planet. It has a society and stuff like that. So they based it upon some stuff like that while adding new elements, and it felt very real, like a real planet, while also being a little fantasy and over the topness, but in the right amount of way.
Right. And I love that the council were kind of dicks. But at the end, they were like, nah, we're going to do the right thing.
Yep.
And in all fairness, aren't the Kryptonian Council dicks in pretty much every interpretation of Superman?
Well, yes.
Pretty much. They're
In
supposed
fact, I have to say, I think, though, in this version of Superman, I think they're less of dicks than they have been in other iterations. Because Jor-El basically went in and said, yeah, our planet is fucked. Let me try to save it. And they were about to say yes when Zod came in, so...
Yep. Which I will say, love Russell Crowe as Superman's dad. Awesome.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
As an actor, because this obviously people are going to compare it to the older film, Marlon Brando is a much better actor than Russell Crowe can even fucking dream of being.
Yes.
However, Russell Crowe basically played a better Jor-El because they gave him more depth and purpose and stuff. I liked it.
And because Russell Crowe's younger than Marlon Brando was at the time, I believe.
Yeah, but I mean, they also basically they went the Batman Begins approach of trying to make things fleshed out and realistic. So instead of it just being like one little scene, this was more. It was more of a gritty Jor-El. It was more realistic. Like you could believe this was the guy that would save his son, and I like that.
Right. Yeah, I love his battle armor too. Like they kind of did Iron Man style, where he steps into the machine and it puts his battle armor on. I thought that was awesome. It's like, time to fight Zod. Also, one of my fears of this movie was kind of put to rest right in the beginning there, because they don't mention it in the trailer, and that is the chest emblem, the S, where Superman says it's not an S. On my world, it means hope.
Mm-hmm.
Because they didn't show like the Krypton stuff in the trailer. I thought that they were changing completely what the meaning of the symbol was, and I'm glad they didn't, because Jor-El outright says it's the crest of the House of El, and it just happens to mean hope. And I'm like, okay, I understand that, and that I accept.
Yeah, I was going to say, to be fair, they by doing the hope, they weren't changing the symbol either. In the comics, it's always meant hope, just like it's always meant his family crest. But yeah, they're the same thing.
Right, and that's fair enough. I just didn't want it not to be his family crest. I didn't want it to be just some random symbol that meant hope. I'm like, no, it's supposed to be the House of El.
Yeah, I could be wrong. Mole, correct me. In some incarnations, isn't it actually a symbol representative of the Kents? In some of the versions, I feel like I saw a version in which that was like some symbol that's gotten passed down in their family for years, like on some fabric or something. And that's where Martha Kent found it and made the outfit from.
Yeah, but that was like on the a very original stuff, like when it was just the typical S, not like the logo it's become.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, but I like that, the variation, the version of it that is now, where it's the House of El.
I agree.
Yeah.
But
I was also say, as we were touching upon stuff from Krypton, and you mentioned them, my only fear going into this slightly, I only had one concern, or I had a couple, but I fucking really loved this film, I will say that now. But yeah, I was a little worried that Zod wasn't going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
This is the best Zod we've had. Yes,
Yeah.
The kneel before Zod line is iconic. No one's going to take that away from the other one before anyone says that. However, this one was a really great Zod. He made you feel like you hated him, but at the same time, he made you feel sympathetic because of what he had been through. And it was like, he's just a great Zod.
I also felt like that way, because you could totally and completely understand where he came from. Like, this was his only, like, purpose for creation, is to be, like, General Zod. So, like, he has, like, no other choice to, like, do this.
Yeah, and you also got the sense with him that there was a real conviction behind his actions, because Zod's, for the most part, there has been other versions of Zod, but the best Zod, in my opinion, in the comics and stuff, was always the military Zod, who was basically believed in everything he was doing, even if it was wrong. The previous Zod we've had in live actions have been, we had one in Smallville, which was another one in Smallville, which was just in the body of Lex, what the fuck, and we had one on live, we had the one with the obviously original films, which was good for the time, but it wasn't a real three-dimensional Zod. He was really cartoon villainish.
Yeah, I like that they made him a zealot, because I think that worked in the favor of the character, and it, like you said, it made him sympathetic, but at the same time, you're like, yeah, you're a fucking douche, die now.
Yeah, it made him he was sympathetic to a point, but at the same time, he also chose to just try and destroy Kal-El's Earth. So you're like, no, no, you're kind of losing sympathy points here.
Yeah, it's like, I'm going to sacrifice Earth to rebuild Krypton. No, that's going too far.
Yeah. And I don't know. What did Jim think of Zod?
I like Zod. What's his name? Michael
Shannon.
I thought Michael Shannon did a great job in the role. I thought he was very convincing. I thought he was different enough from the old Zod that, it was a refreshment to the character, but at the same time there was enough familiar aspects that you knew it was Zod, and he really played that version of where he came across as evil, but not even for the sake of evil because he thought what he was doing was right, and he was just kind of going to extremes to achieve it. So I thought they did a really good balance on the character too.
Yep.
Yeah, I will say Michael Shannon looked really weird without the goatee. He looked a lot better with the goatee.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's just me, but I preferred Zod with the goatee.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know who this actor is, but I thought Zod looked awesome the way he was.
Yeah, I liked just how Zod looked on this. I liked the original look from well, I say original, you know what I mean, original Superman films. Zod did more, like, what do you call it, like, refinement to him, but I loved this one, because this one I would buy as a military guy. This one looked fucking battle hard. Everything in his face. Everything in his face, even without the goatee, he looked like he's gonna fuck you up, and I like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought he looked too clean when he was clean shaven. I don't know. I just prefer the look he had when he finally came to Earth those years later when he had the goatee. I was like, okay, that's Zod. That works. that I can envision him saying kneel.
Yeah.
The other one, I'd just be like, fuck off, pretty boy.
Yep.
But I think another thing that, and I watched some of the special features after I watched the movie, and I found interesting, and I felt that this actually probably really helped with the portrayal of not only Zod, but also of Henry Cavill as Superman, and I keep forgetting her name, but the actress that played, not Ursa, I mean Feora. I mean, let's be honest, she's Ursa, and the dude in the armor is Non. Come on, no. They should have just called her Ursa. I mean, they even made her look like Ursa. Come on.
They had different personalities.
They did, but they made her look like her, and come on, I don't know. Just to me, I just looking at them like, no, that's Ursa and Non. But anyway, the thing that helped make it believable is, I believe, most of the action in the stunts they did because they were in such phenomenal shape, and that's because throughout the entirety of the filming they were training, and there was they had this trainer on the set that, as Henry Cavill pointed out in the special features, knew when to push you beyond your breaking point and knew when to push you right up to it. And if you look at Henry Cavill with like out his shirt and stuff, he got fucking jacked. I was like, wow. And like even Michael Shannon, he's kind of scrawny, but if you actually look at him when he's like flexing, it's like, okay, yeah, he's got muscle. I buy him as Zod. And the actress she just took to the martial arts and the weapon choreography and stuff like a fish to water. It's just like, wow. What they put into it just completely amazed me.
Yep.
And they said that Henry Cavill is like a natural when it came to portraying Superman. Like he would come in and instead of trying to play Superman, once he was on set and they said action, he was Superman. And you could tell, just like as you pointed out to me, Mole, just the way he contorts his face and his emotion, his facial emotion and stuff. It's totally Superman.
It is. I love this guy's Superman. It's awesome.
Yeah, he's a great Superman. But yeah, moving on, I loved that for about the first half of the movie after Krypton, they focused on basically him learning how to control his powers. And I love they did it through flashbacks. They show him going through the world trying to figure out who he is and where he comes from and stuff, and he keeps seeing these things or experiencing these things that causes flashbacks, and through that you get to see him struggle and learn how to control his powers as he's growing up, which I absolutely love.
When you got to see Fisherman Superman with the beard and stuff.
That was awesome.
Okay, this is where I guess we disagree, but then I'm not like the giant comic book dude, but I hated the flashbacks. I would have loved a linear story rather than flashbacks, because it just makes me feel like they Wolverined it a bit. You know, all the flashbacks and things, like, and...
See, I didn't mind the flashbacks, only because, and it has nothing to do with being a comic person, Pew. This one's just from a film standpoint. They already did the origin as a linear story in the previous Superman film that everyone's going to compare this to, so they wanted to make it feel different and real. So it's like, okay, this is a real time, now you're getting more of an emotional attachment between Clark and his past, and I like that.
That's entirely fair. I just haven't seen the other Superman movies because I've never been interested in Superman, but then a lot of my friends saw this one, so I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. So just because I'm new to Superman, I guess, I would prefer that, but, you know, I can understand it would be compared to the other films. I wanted to try something different.
Yeah, it'd be compared to the other film, because the original 70s Superman film is sadly largely considered Well, not sadly, because it is a good film. It's largely considered one of the best superhero films of all time, which means, there's no avoiding it. People will make the comparison.
I'm thinking they wanted to avoid the obvious comparisons if they went that route. They didn't want people to call this Smallville the movie, but not as good. Although Smallville is not that good in the later seasons, but that's neither here nor there. Because let's face it, Smallville is Superman growing up learning how to control his powers. If the first half of the movie was that, people would be calling the Smallville the movie, and I think they wanted to avoid that.
To be fair, so was the first film, where you saw him like running along the train and stuff. And also Superman Returns did the same thing, with him falling in the barn. They have all done that, but...
Yeah, but the first film came out before Smallville, so there would be no comparison there. But but Superman Returns, fair enough. But I mean, I thought they did it right. I thought they didn't hit you over the head with it. And I thought with the way they showed him learning and then the different ages, the development of his powers, I thought that brought something new to the table, because that's something you haven't really seen in this medium before in terms of Superman, of how was he as a kid, and what that brought, in my opinion, to the character of Superman is it humanized him. And it shows you the incredible amount of focus Superman has to have just to control his powers.
Yep. And I will say, because we're talking about the flashbacks and stuff, if anyone's listening, we experienced some technical difficulties when we tried to do this the first time, in case you're wondering why there's two of these, or in case you heard part of the other one and wondering why we're discussing some of it again. Because I was going to address one of the things which people had some controversy with, and we were discussing right as we had the problems. Superman's pappy.
Yeah.
Super pappy, as he is now known. But no, Jonathan Kent.
Dead pappy.
Yeah. Jonathan Kent, or the Kents. I liked the Kents. Yeah. I really liked them, and as I explained earlier, because I know the controversy is how he says maybe to him and how he died, and as I was expressing before, personally, the way he says maybe, he sort of looks away, and it's just a guy trying to protect his son. That's all Jonathan Kent is. He's a realistic version of perfect Kent, which works, because as a farmer, especially nowadays, he would have that edge to him, that roughness-ish, and he's got that element where it's like, what should I do? Should I let him die? And he looks away in fucking disgust and goes, maybe. And it's like, and it's not because he's saying, kill them all. It's because he doesn't want his son exposed, but at the same time, he doesn't want his son to let people die. So he's torn as well. Because the thing, a lot of these interpretations of Smallville, and so Smallville got it right, but a load of adaptations get wrong with this, is the Kents are going through this for the first time too. They're not going to have the perfect answers for an alien son. It's not going to be like, oh, you're an alien. Oh, okay, using heat vision to destroy a barn. Well, my dad said when I used heat vision that this is what you're... But no, you don't have that. No, they're going through the first time too. And the way Jonathan Kent dies is basically, with the tornado coming towards him, is basically he goes to get the dog and looks Clark in the eye and basically communicates to his son without speaking, do not come towards me, because he doesn't. And he puts his arm up and looks at him, and you get the emotional stare down, and then he dies. If Clark had interfered in that in any way, he would have been exposed to everyone, because there would be questions about how he survived the tornado. There'd be just various shit, and he doesn't want that. So he died still trying to be that guy that teaches his son, look, okay, you can use your powers, but I don't want you exposed. You need to live your life. And I think that's one of the things that will I think that's one of the moments that will lead him to create an alternate character in the Superman persona.
Which he kind of does by the end of the movie.
Yeah, which is brilliant. And I'm like, so
I love how they did that.
So Jonathan Kent did teach him the stuff he needs to be a man and a Superman. He just didn't do it in the clear-cut way that everyone's normally likes, where it's like just handed to him, and it's like, no, this makes sense. This is realistic, and I love that.
If he doesn't have the answer, he doesn't know. He doesn't fucking know. He's just doing what he can and what he thinks and what he's got to go with. Farmer, knowledge.
Yeah. I like what they did too. I thought I was not going to like the whole maybe thing, but the way it was done and, seeing it in context, I was like, okay, That makes sense, and I can accept that. Now, the death of Jonathan Kent, it made sense. I understand what they're trying to do. I like what they were trying to do. I still say Superman should have just gone in and saved the damn dog. They could have made some shit up about how he survived, I think. Maybe that's just me, because, okay, yeah, he can't fly, but at this point, he is basically invulnerable, so it's not like the tornado would really hurt him at all.
Yes,
And
and not being hurt by the tornado would raise questions, and all of everything would be like a light would be shined on him. So basically, people would then be investigating him and camping outside his home to get a sense of who is this miracle man that can just withstand a tornado.
In all fairness, there's already a light on him, people watching him from that hole, having freakouts in the middle of school that make everybody pay attention to him immediately.
Yeah, they had a sense of a kid freaking out and stuff, but it all got swept into the it all got swept under the rug because he was a kid. They could pass that off easily. He wasn't as strong or as powerful as he is now, so it made sense.
True. Very true. But yeah, like
I'm hearing loud scratching again.
Pew, you gotta not move. But I like the fact also that they don't have him fly right off the bat, and I think it's a partial nod to Superman can leap tall buildings in a single bound, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, I like
Where
that
he just could jump really high and far.
Yeah.
Now, one thing about his flight that I would say I didn't like is I didn't like the fact that they turned him into fucking Neo from The Matrix.
What's wrong with how he flew?
The fact that he had to do the crouch thing and all of a sudden he's generating energy out of nowhere so he can fly, I'm like, no, Superman should just be able to fly. He shouldn't have to make a big-ass explosion around him to fly. He should just be able to fly.
He doesn't make a big explosion that makes him fly. The explosion is happening because he's flying, because the amount of strength and power he needs to push down to launch himself up, and the amount of force he would need to keep staying flying and moving would create a massive force that would generate something like that. So it's because it's realistic. They weren't going to do the cartoon, he just jumps up and flies. It's like, no, they needed something, and I think that was it, because of the sheer, like it's taking all of his thing to just jump up, and it's like, I'm flying. I'm like, that's brilliant. It's realistic. I like that.
You need a thrust to get yourself off the ground.
Which is fair enough. I hope it goes in. I hope as the movies progress, it gets rid of that, because that I didn't like that. I understand now where you're coming from, and I agree with that. But at the same time, I just don't like that, because it's like, Superman should just be able to fly.
Yeah, Superman should be able to fly, but it's the same thing as Batman should be able to use a gun. But when they make him realistic, they try to avoid that, and I'm like, okay, they're making him realistic, so he's not just going to go, oh, I'm Peter Pan. Whee! He's going to do the and fly up like it's a feat of strength, because which, to be fair, I can't believe I'm going to have to say this, it might be slightly nerdy, some people believe his flight is an extension of his feat of strength, because the more stronger he got within the comics, the higher he was jumping and eventually flying, like he was pushing off when he did the leaping tall buildings and eventually learned to fly. When he started to fly, he was stronger. So it stands to reason it could be an extension of his feat of flight. Or his feat of strength, I should say.
Fair enough, yeah, as they portrayed in the movie, which is fair enough.
Yep. But like I said, I had no problem with it. But then again, like I said, both people have different problems with it. So you may have had a problem with it, which is obviously logical. And I don't know. Do you have any problems with how he flew?
Not really. I mean, it made logical sense for a realistic version that he was going to have to push off and get enough momentum to actually do it, because the flying, like they explained, the flying was more an extension of his being able to jump really high than it was actual outright flight resisting the gravity. The only way he was resisting the gravity is because he was putting enough force against the gravity with the enhanced musculature in his legs and feet that it was allowing him to sort of fly. So I guess it kind of makes sense.
Indeed. So let's talk about the other controversial part of this movie. Snapping of Zod's neck, which I'm okay with.
We just skipped right to the end of the film. Okay.
I guess the rest of the film doesn't mean jack shit.
Yeah.
It does, but
He's like, let's go in order. Okay, now we're right at the part where he becomes Superman. Okay, now he's snapping in that. Wait, what? No, there was a bit in the middle.
Yeah, where the fuck that shit happen?
okay. Well, we'll go through. I thought we'd get the highly controversial stuff out of the way first, but fair enough.
No, we can mention this if you want. There's killing of Zod.
Yeah, whatever.
All right. Yeah, I was strangely okay with this because I was like, okay, the humans were kind of backed into a corner. Fair enough. They had nowhere really to run now that I saw it in context. I'm like, okay. And yeah, Superman tries everything not to kill Zod, and Zod's like, no, fuck you, I'm going to burn them to death because I now realize I have heat vision. Superman's like, fuck you, you don't have a life anymore.
Yeah. Basically, Zod was in that state of mind where he even says to him, you have taken everything from me. And basically, you're going to have to kill me to stop me because I'm just going to keep coming until I take everything from you. Which means this wasn't a case where Superman was just going to go, oh, okay, you're going to prison now. There was no prison to hold him. There was nothing to do to... There was no way that basically Zod was going to be restrained.
Hello, Phantom Zone.
Hello? Did you see Superman with access to it?
I'm relatively sure Zod escaped it, therefore I would assume that ship you think can get back to it if Superman programmed it properly.
He escaped it, but the way the Phantom Zone normally works is you need some sort of portal to get him through into it.
Also, that ship got pulled into the Phantom Zone when they reignited the portal. So yeah, Zod was there by himself with no Phantom Drive, so he had no way of getting into the Phantom Zone.
Yeah, and so you had that. You had...
Yeah, if only he had some super intelligent computer with his father that could tell him how to do that. Oh, wait.
That went into the Phantom Zone, too. Everything went into the Phantom Zone when the Cal spaceship collided with the other one.
Yep, which means, like I said, you had that. You also had the Earthlings basically in danger. Some people have argued, oh, well, he's just using heat vision. Why didn't Superman put his hand in front? Because Zod's as strong as him. All that would have done is burn the fuck through his hand and Zod would have been freed. Which means he was literally backed into a point where there was no other option than to do this. And it's not like he just went snap to his neck like people made out, oh, he just casually killed him. No, he snapped his neck, then fell to his knees in emotional distress for what he's just been through. And the look on his face as he did it, that was fucking emotional. You got a sense that Superman didn't want to kill him. He had no other choice. He was backed into a certain place where there was no other option. And when he did it, he still felt guilt and remorse. That's Superman.
Yep. And that also shows him learning what Peter Parker should have learned and has never learned since he's been Spider-Man, that with great power comes great responsibility.
Yep, and it's also good that they weren't afraid to have Superman kill someone, because as I pointed out, he murdered Zod in the comics. He's murdered other villains before. Hell, in the original Superman films, as me and Simon were joking about the other day, he murdered Zod in that film too. Unless you don't think, for taking away all his abilities, so he now lives as exactly like a human, then dropping him into a pit of freezing ice and leaving him in the bottom of the Arctic is going to kill him while Superman makes a snappy retort to Lois. That was a lot more cold and heartless, and that pun's not intended, but that was a lot more cold and heartless than snapping his neck and being completely broken because you just did that.
Also, I think it allows him to feel like it's horribly bad for killing him because, someone from Krypton, but it sets it up so if they want to do the no-killing thing, later, he has a reason for it. It's not coming out of his ass, oh, I'm going to no-kill because that's no-kill,
Yeah.
And so it's a perfect step for if that's what they want to go with later.
But I don't know. I think Jim feels differently about the killing. I get that sense.
Yeah, I get that sense too. Jim, what did you think about Zod?
I can understand why they went. I can understand why they went with that. It just felt, yeah, Superman has killed before, but just that way, it just felt a little un-Superman. I don't know why. It was just that aura feeling to me. It just felt like it was. I don't know why. Superman's supposed to be the Boy Scout, the guy that always kind of finds a way for the maximum good or whatever. And not only did he destroy half the goddamn city, but then he murders Zod. It's like it seems like he would have found a way to impress him or done something with him. But I can understand that, in that situation, yeah, it's spur of the moment, inexperienced Superman could have done that. I mean, I can see that. I just didn't like the fact that because they're in that Superman, that was the result.
Yeah, he wasn't really Superman at this point, hence the film was called Man of Steel. But the other thing with that as well is, because of how realistic it was, and like I said, he's killed people like that before now. Like, he flat out murdered Doomsday with his own bare hands. Hell, he tried to kill fucking Darkseid with his bare hands.
Technically speaking, if I recall certain storylines correctly, didn't he ascend to a higher plane of existence in a giant robot conveniently shaped like him and try to murder higher beings of existence with his bare hands?
Yeah, but no, like I said, he's basically trying.
I'm just saying that comics are weird.
It has, but I'm pretty sure that's not connected anymore. But yeah, like I said, they've actually murdered people before now, and as I mentioned, and this isn't a dig at Jim, I will say that before anyone thinks I'm being overly mean to Jim, but I will say it pissed
You can
me.
dig at me, it's okay, that's what you're here for.
No, because I'm saying it's not Jim. I'm just saying it really pissed me the fuck off when this film came out, that everyone was like, oh, but Superman doesn't kill. It's so against him. Oh, really? Tell me again how you've read all the Superman comics. Well, he didn't kill in a Saturday morning cartoon. It's like, fuck off. He's killed multiple times in the comics. In fact, he's very effective at killing. In fact, he can't stop killing. It's not just bad guys he kills. Hell, there's covers and parts and comics and stuff where he kills the good guys too. Superman's very effective at killing. He does it quite well.
Let us not forget New 52, where Superman takes a human male and dangles him off the roof of a building, getting ready to Batman him. Except, unlike Batman, he doesn't have a rope to stop the descent.
Yeah, except for he has himself to stop the descent.
Yeah.
He does, but the way he was doing it seemed like he wouldn't have.
He would have. He would have. That is evident with New 52 Superman. He would have. But it's a case of he's got the darker edge. But when he dangles him, yeah, he doesn't have a rope. But by the time that guy's hit the floor, before he's even hit the floor, Superman's caught him.
Yeah, speaking of people pissed at Superman kill people, I seem to recall owning a video game in which Superman rips a dude's heart out and melts another dude's face with heat vision.
Yeah, which, like I said, I have no problem when Superman kills within context of like they've done in the comics where he has an actual purpose. The game you're referring to is, fuck it, let's just make it all about Batman and he kills Joker for no other reason and to make shitty little fanboys who can't play Mortal Kombat go, hey, it's an adult.
Yes, let's move into issues that I had with the movie since you mentioned his destruction of the city.
Can I say one last thing about that though? I will also add the other thing about the fact Superman killed Zod is that we'll also get an interesting contrast for Dawn of Justice coming up, because if they're going with Saint God Mod Batman as we know him, the first thing he's gonna say is when Superman is that he killed the dude. Older Bruce is gonna look at him like, "What the hell's wrong with you? You killed the dude? I don't kill anybody." Even though that's also not true, but
yeah, that's also not true. And yeah, let's not forget that's the Batman who's going to attack him with kryptonite missiles.
Wait, there's kryptonite missiles?
Yes, he has kryptonite missiles in his battle suit.
I didn't hear that. He has a battle suit?
Yes, he has a battle suit.
Okay, then.
One that was taken.
Well, if you were going to fight Superman, would you do it with your bare hands, or would you ask Tony Stark for a suit of armor?
Touche, but I'm pretty sure Batman has like a kryptonite gun or something. I don't think he actually needs the suit. Again, referencing Injustice, but still.
Actually, he's used the suit before now. The suit in question comes straight from the comics when they fought each other.
I know he's used suits before. I'm just saying. Like I remember when he used the suit in the Batman to fight Bane. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's basically that style suit. So he has the super strength because he didn't have access to shitloads of kryptonite.
Our friend's pretty shit that he has like some kryptonite just in case like Superman goes rogue. I mean, I know it could use it for other people, but it just seems
the thing you have to realize, Pew, is that Batman, again, because he's that god-modded about being prepared for fucking everything these days, he actually has a contingency plan to take out each member of the Justice League in the event that they went rogue. He has kryptonite for Superman. He's got something to take out Wonder Woman, something for Green Lantern, something for Flash. He can take out any of them if need be.
Yeah, something for Green Lantern, so a number 2 pencil, because he's been allergic to wood and yellow.
Yeah,
What
pretty
do you-
much.
But no, basically,
I actually have to wonder about how they're going to do this, because I'm just realizing this is Superman v Batman's a direct sequel to Man of Steel, yes? Like, it takes place
Supposedly.
literally right after it. So, if the world just learned about Superman, how the fuck does Bruce Wayne already have kryptonite? Number one. Number two, how the fuck does he have any kind of kryptonite? How would he even know about it? How would he know Superman is weak to it? No one's used it on him yet. No one knows
Because-
that's his weakness.
because apparently assuming what people have said about the film and all the clips and stuff that were shown at Comic-Con and stuff were true, basically, I believe they've said Lex is supposed to have Zod's body and
Oh, that's
has been studying it, which means I'm pretty sure Batman knows to keep an eye on Lex.
So then the question becomes, where did Lex get kryptonite? Because unless I'm mistaken, throughout the entirety of Man of Steel, not once did we see a piece of kryptonite land on Earth. Like, chunks of krypton never made it to Earth, as far as I know.
As far as we know, but normally it came down with Superman's ship. Sometimes it come down with Superman's ship. Other times it just happens to be in space around Earth, and we still have satellites and stuff in place. Plus, it could be parts of their ship. Zod's
Yeah, the ship
could
that's
have
now in the
stuff.
Phantom Zone.
Yeah, but part of it.
Well, I'm gonna go with the Batman Beyond theory of, as shown in the future, that Lex has technology to pull kryptonite from space and pull it into orbit around Earth and use it for shit.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But anyway, yeah, so you mentioned, Jim, the destruction of the city. Now, I don't have
Yeah.
a problem with the destruction itself. The problem I have is the fact that Superman is so nonchalant and cavalier about it. Like, throughout the entirety of the fight scenes, not once does he pause for even half a second, because it's Superman, he only needs half a second, to look around and say, oh shit, I'm fucking up the city and there are still people here. Not once. And the whole movie, he's saying it's basically saying that Superman is trying to save the people of Earth. They are his people. He lives on Earth and he's trying to protect them against Zod, yada, yada, yada. I'm not seeing it. I don't see a man who's trying to protect the people. I'm seeing a man who is trying to fight someone who is as strong as he is, yes, but who doesn't give two shits about the safety of the people he professes to be trying to save. He doesn't, I mean, I understand he probably couldn't have even if he wanted to, which is fine, but he doesn't even look at them. He doesn't even acknowledge that there's humans in danger. He just doesn't give a shit. All he's doing is fighting, and I'm like, you should at least look and say, oh, there's people. He doesn't even acknowledge the existence of the humans. I'm like, I don't like that.
I would say he knows about the humans, but I would say the reason for this is because, as you said, oh, he's Superman, he only needs half a second. Yes, but they only need half a second. If he looks away, they're going to kill him. This is a fight to the death. They even say they want to kill him at one point, and they want all his blood and stuff, which means basically he's fighting people as fast as him, as strong as him. Yes, they are as fast and as strong.
No. Early in the fights, Superman is outright the most powerful person on the planet because he's been there longer. They're realizing their powers. They're better fighters than he is, yes, but he is outright the most powerful being on that planet until about the last quarter of that movie. Because as it's shown with Zod and with Feora, not so much with the non-type guy because he's all in armor, you can't see him, but it's shown they have to get used to having these powers. They may have adapted quicker than Superman did because, again, they're trained warriors. So they're like, oh, well, we have powers that allow us to fight better. But Superman, at least for enough time for him to acknowledge the existence of lesser beings, is the most powerful being on that planet. So I refuse to believe that if he had looked away for a split second or even just did some sort of acknowledgement of, there's people here, acknowledging that he's fucking shit up and he's putting people in danger, I refuse to believe that they would have killed him because it would have been physically impossible for them to do it until they got acclimated to the powers.
Except for before they got acclimated to the powers, just by using the numbers game, they kicked his ass for a bit of the fight. And they had him like on his fucking knees for a little bit of it at the beginning as well. Yeah, he may have been a little bit stronger than them and stuff, but the sheer numbers games and all the stuff of what they were doing, he was in a fight to the death. They even sent him fucking flying through a wall.
Yeah, and it only takes half a second. He could have thought for half a second, boom, I get there's people here, but I can't do anything, and move on. Like, you have to think about it and then move on. You don't have to like stress upon the same idea again.
Yeah, would it have been too much to ask to have Superman at least, turn his head and look, just like visual acknowledgement? He wouldn't have to say anything. He just kind of look and then look back at who he's fighting. No, he didn't.
He did in the cafe. When they knocked him into the cafe, he got up, he looked at the people, and he was like, oh, and then he went flying and he knocked them away from where all the people were.
I don't recall that.
Was that, yeah, because the guy behind the counter he looks at one point as well was his school bully.
Oh, Pete, yeah, he acknowledged
him and he acknowledged the people in the cafe.
But he acknowledged him because he recognized him.
And
he's a somewhat main character, so we have to have Superman recognize him.
Yeah, he recognized him when he got knocked through. There was no one around that threw him a lot of it. When he got knocked down into the more populated area, he looked at him, he recognized him, but then he also looked at the other ones, and first thing he does is get the enemies away from them. What more did you want? Did you want him to stand there and give a big speech about how I must save the people of this city? Dun, 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 dun.
No, it just seemed to me that he didn't. He might have. I do remember him now looking at his friend, but I don't know. It just seemed really awkward and really non-Superman to me to not, especially like I said, given the fact that the entire movie they're saying, these are his people. He lives on Earth now. He's as much Earth as he is Krypton, and it just seemed to me that he saw them as lesser beings. Like he didn't care they were in danger for most of it, and I was just like, I don't like that. It's like he's not caring that about all the destruction. Like again, I understand there's probably nothing he could have done about it, but he felt cold to me. It felt like he didn't care, and that's what I didn't like.
See, like I said, with the looks at the cafe and various other stuff, like when he was fighting, when he'd give them looks whenever they were doing anything, it seemed like they were going for a more subtle, realistic way. It wasn't as like hand-holdy as the Christopher Reeve one, but they definitely included it because I got a Sensi card based on them showing him care with, like that, with the cafe scene definitely, and with other bits too. Like you see him actually stop some of the destruction a little bit as best he can, but sometimes woman throws a car but the building where the car goes through, no one inside. Which means he's clearly showing restraint as well. What do you mean conveniently? They're told people are ripping your city apart. We're going to destroy your city, and you see everyone flee. That's not convenient. That was plot structured. It's not like Power Rangers where they suddenly end up in like an abandoned warehouse. They actually gave a story for why people would have fucking fled. If I was in my city and I was told, yeah, there's something here, yeah, and it's terraforming your planet, it's going to kill everyone. Oh, and there's also aliens fighting your city. Guess what? I'm taking off.
I'd like to say two things. Number one, they did explain that most of the cities are designed and have a conveniently placed abandoned warehouse district and or quarry. Number two.
Okay, anything about this film?
And number two, I'd like to add that you can disagree with the people, but then explain this. Why is it that when Zod launches two large drills that start terraforming the planet, Superman decides it's more important for me to go stop the one in the middle of the fucking ocean half a planet away and not the one in the middle of goddamn Metropolis?
Because he has to stop two, and that's the one that he can, that's the one that he can reach the fastest way. The other people can work on the other one.
Yeah, because he had
Metropolis where he already is. That's where the people are, and the one in the ocean's not going to hurt anybody. There's nobody in the ocean.
But there's two, and if just one of them goes off, it's going to destroy half the planet. If there's two, one of them will destroy half. That's logical. 50-50. He had Lois with the armor and stuff, and all the other stuff working on some of the other ones. He went after one, and he left her to go after the one that was closer to her, most likely the one she'd be able to stop. That's
the other thing too, and this. The other thing, too, and this makes sense, and I actually like that he went after the one in the ocean, because if you think about it, he doesn't know exactly what those machines are going to do. He doesn't know what's going to happen if he, punches a hole through it. And he knows he's got these powered stuff. He knows there's going to be destruction. If he goes out to the ocean one and destroys it and it goes off like a nuke, no one's going to really get hurt. If he goes after the Metropolis one, destroys it, and it goes off like a nuke, he just basically killed an entire city. He didn't want to risk that.
Yeah, you also have that element.
So it made sense for him to go after the one in the middle of fucking nowhere. So, okay, I just murdered a bunch of fish. Big fucking deal. They'll have 10 billion kids. We'll be fine.
Then Aquaman will be pissed.
Yeah, well.
Aquaman won't exist if he atomizes the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, James Momoa's going to show up. And Alvarez, you don't know that. You don't know where Atlantis is. Anyway,
I do. I have a map.
nah. Anyway, it seemed to me that he was. I know he's new Superman, but it seems to me Superman would have taken that thing, ripped it out of the earth, and then hurled it into the sun or something. That just seems to me like what Superman would do in that situation.
That's what, like, full power God-modded Superman would. Yeah, new Superman who's not as strong, and also with the fact it's Kryptonian technology, my guess is it was designed for people like him to not be able to do that.
This is true.
Also, you'll also remember that they actually outright say in the movie that it's terraforming Earth and transforming its atmosphere to be like Krypton. And you'll notice what the smog that was created when Superman went through it, he started fucking choking on that shit because it depowered him when he was flying through the smog clouds.
No, I think he just started choking on it because he's not used to that atmosphere because he grew up on Earth.
Yeah, it wouldn't have taken away his powers because it wasn't a red sun, but yeah, it was still definitely it was still choking him and affecting him enough that he was like, okay, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that I have a problem with, the one I have a really big problem with, and I'm surprised these so-called, big Superman fans who hated the Jonathan Kent stuff and the Zod stuff didn't latch onto this more. Fuck Snyder. Fuck them all for taking away one of the biggest accomplishments of Lois Lane. They took away the fact that Lois Lane was the first one to name Superman. No, we're gonna have the fucking government, who doesn't deserve to name Superman, be the one who names him. No, fuck that.
To be fair, she's only named him in one continuity.
Really? I thought she's always been the one to first name him.
No, in other ones, in some of them when he's had the S on his chest, the press have just decided to name him in general. Other times it's been other humans who named him. Sometimes he's given the name to himself. Because what does the S stand for? Superman. Same thing when he was Superboy and stuff. So it's like, it's not her biggest accomplishment. Her biggest accomplishment has been a strong, independent woman. No singing the song, Jim, before you do it. That women actually looked up for, and not needing to be with necessarily the Mary Jane. Like, she was fucking really independent in this film. I like that.
I loved Lois Lane in this film, aside from the fact that she's supposed to be black hair. She couldn't have dyed her hair, really. But no. But the thing is, they cock tease. That really pissed me off. Where she's about to name him, and they get fucking interrupted by the government, who gets to name him. I'm like, no, fuck you.
Yeah, but to be fair, she also helped save the day. She wasn't
I still would have preferred she had named him.
She wasn't like the Lois that only named him and sat at home and stuff. She was like, no, they kept the more modern, independent Lois and got her to be all action chick, as people say, and it worked. I like that.
Which is fine. I still would have preferred her naming him. I left a sour taste in my mouth that the fucking military got to name him. No, I do not like that at all. That, to me, is probably the worst part of this movie, is the fact that they cock tease you with Lois naming him and then basically denied. Troll face, and I'm like, oh, fuck you. Oh, maybe I'm the only one who feels that strongly about it, but I fucking hated that about this movie.
See, I didn't, because like I said, at the time when naming her was her biggest accomplishment, she had not much else going for her. This one did all the other stuff that's come to make her such a great and iconic character, to the point that if you go up to someone on the street and you say, what makes Lois Lane? I guarantee you, if they gave you a list, not even on the list would be naming Superman.
Which is fine, but why does that mean she can't name him? I don't understand. Why couldn't he have both? Like I said, I love the way they portrayed her. I just didn't like the fact that they had her start naming him, and it's like, nope, we're going to give that to the government. I'm like, really? You could just let her name him?
I'm not saying you can have one. I'm not saying you can only have one or the other. I'm just saying that's not that important to the character of Lois Lane, because you were saying it's her greatest accomplishment, which is almost a slap to the face of the character. But it's a case of basically she's got all the stuff that makes her Lois Lane. She just didn't name him because the government did, most likely because, as we see, he's putting the movie together to go into the whole overarching stuff with everything. That's showing the government on his side because the adaptation, or at least the comic they're basing the Superman v Batman fight on, Superman was working with the military for the President of the United States. That helps get that in. That helps just, you know what I mean, get that out there.
Mhm.
And we
Which is
lost
fair
Pew.
enough. She's been having issues. Hopefully she'll come back.
Yeah.
And that's fair enough. I don't know. We'll just agree to disagree because I really did not like that.
Oh, I agree that you can not like and stuff. I was just saying it's kind of insulting to the character to say that was her greatest accomplishment.
Fair enough. I thought it was because I thought in most continuity she's the one that named him.
Yeah, but that's not her greatest accomplishment because she's done a lot more stuff like fighting and stuff.
That's fighting love.
Yeah, but she did this one. I love how she was portrayed in this one. I really do.
I
Like basically telling Perry White to fuck off. And Pew's phone died, so she's plugging it in and she's going to try to get back in.
And I will say, some people complained about Perry being black. No problem. I liked Perry.
Yeah. The only problem I had with Perry is it didn't seem like he had a reason to exist beyond his initial scene. He felt kind of out of place, I'm going to be honest. I'm like, why is Perry White even there? He's not really doing it. He's like, it feels like with the battle stuff, like they shoehorned him and like they manufactured a scene just so he'd have screen time and had like no bearing on the story whatsoever. There was no point to him being there, and I'm just like, wow, this feels really out of place.
It's because he was starting to motivate people, so that you had a human that you know he's going to be bonded with later on. Get almost rallying some of the people with Superman, like when he was helping the people when the planet was going down and stuff. And obviously, you got the scene at the end where Clark gets his job, but yeah, so some of it could have been shoehorned in.
Don't get me wrong, they were great. Well, not great, but they were okay scenes. And it's Lawrence Fishburne, so yeah, you know, I like Lawrence Fishburne. I was just like, there's no point to this. Aside from that's just going to be conveniently where Superman is going to land. It's like, you know, with Lois, it's like, aside from that, there's really no point. Like, he's there just so Lois has somebody to go to when Superman drops her off. I'm like, really?
Yeah, he was also there to flesh out the character of Perry and show why someone like Perry, like someone in charge of the newspaper, would have been backing this alien. Because logically, that's not a way to sell papers, but it's because he was in all this mess, which means he seems like more the type of character that'd be like, I've been through this. Fuck what's logical. I'm gonna do what I know is right, and I'm gonna make Superman the hero.
Right.
So basically, they were turning him into Superman's Gordon.
Yep. Although I will say one thing I do love is they basically turn him into Jonathan Kent for Lois Lane.
Yep.
I don't know if you felt that way, but because he basically says the same thing to her that Jonathan Kent says to Clark when she's all like, you know, I want to run the story, and he's all like, no, you can't do that because you got to protect him. Think about what will happen if this gets out. Think about him if this gets out.
Yep.
Which I'm like, that was kind of from the beginning. Perry White doesn't really think he's that much of a threat. That he just, you know, obviously he's been hiding for so long now. It's like, okay, he's been living among us. He just wants to be left alone. If he wanted to kill us, he would have killed us by now.
Yep.
But by running this, you're basically invading his privacy, and you're going to make it really difficult for him to live his life, which is exactly what Jonathan Kent was getting at when talking to Clark.
Yep. Which like I said, I liked the supporting cast of this film as well. I will say, I had slight. And that's just personal things. I had slight issues with the woman playing Lois.
Amy Adams.
Yeah, I thought she did a great job. It's just whenever I'm looking at her, I'm still like, yeah, it's you from Cruel Intentions 2.
That's why I think they should have dyed her hair, made her look more like Lois. I think it would have worked better.
Like I said, I had no problem with the hair. Because the hair to me is like, well, if you change her hair and you have to be like, and you make everyone look exactly the same, then we couldn't have Black Perry. And I'm like, I like Black Perry.
Well, I'm not saying make her look exactly the same. I'm just saying when you see her, you see another character, which I assume in that character she had her natural hair color.
Yeah.
Or, something a little bit close to it. So what I'm saying is if they'd actually gone with the more classic Lois Lane look, when you saw her, you might not have seen that other character. You might have seen more Lois Lane because physically she would have looked more like Lois, and because of the way she was portraying the character, you would have seen past the fact that she looks like this other character. But because they went with her natural, I'm assuming that's her natural hair color, because they went with that hair color instead of the Lois Lane hair color, all you saw was the other character that you knew her from.
To be fair, that's the same with any actor, though.
Yeah, I think it worked okay. I mean, doesn't sometimes that happens, and especially little details about characters can be changed like that. It still works. I mean, just because something is different or whatnot. I mean, hell, I watched Lois Clark Adventures of Superman, and Dean Cain pushed his hair all the way back, damn near friggin' ponytail thing, and didn't have a little curl or anything. I still knew he was Superman.
Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah, like I said, I'm the same way with some actors, and like I said, I thought she was a damn good Lois. I'm not taking anything away from a Lois. It was just every now and again I was like, I know you. It's like Perry. Every time I looked at him, like Matrix.
Yeah, it's more obvious.
Offer him the pill.
Yeah, exactly.
I have a problem with it.
I am shocked you didn't mention one of the biggest controversies.
What's that?
The costume.
No underwear.
Yeah, it looks weird without the underwear.
Most people complained that it didn't have underwear, and I was like,
yeah.
Really? Before this film came out, the same people complaining about the underwear, just before they showed this costume, were mocking the Superman costume with, he's someone who wears his underwear on the outside. Then the second it's gone, it's like, no, he's not wearing his underwear on the outside. Why? You need it. It's like, no. It looked cool. I liked the costume. It looked pretty cool.
See, I like the costume, except I kind of agree that you kind of need the red underwear. Not because it's underwear, but because of artistically what it does. Because with the red underwear, you get the splash of color breaking up the monotony of the blue suit. And I have to agree, you need that splash of color. Without the splash of color, his suit, and I understand with this universe and what the take they were going for, this suit works, and it's probably better without the underwear because they're going more for the Batman Begins style, the darker, more realistic. But I'm like, I prefer the Superman suit when it's got splashes of color to break up the monotony of a single color palette.
They do. The red belt.
They had a red belt? I thought that kind of half stopped like Spider-Man's.
I mean, no, he had one like all the way around him at one point in the film. He had like a red belt.
I must have missed that.
But it just wasn't as big as the underwear. But like I said, I like the suit though. To be fair, I did like the suit.
It was decent suit. I like what it was made of. I like that it was textured. I thought that was cool. And I liked the redesign of the S shield. I thought that was really good.
Yeah. What did Jim think about the costume?
I thought it was different. I mean, I'm always interested in revamps of costumes. I did think it did take some getting adjusting to. It did take some adjusting to without the underwear, but I got over it. I'm like, okay, it's an interesting new costume. It's a different take. It's kind of cool. It does kind of it catches the eye differently, but you get used to it after a while. It's not a bad costume. It's just different.
Yeah. Well, I will say this is slightly off topic because it's not just with this film, but it's with all films like this. Why is it when a film that's doing a similar story to what we've seen before, like this one basically being like a mixture of Superman 1 and 2, people like, oh, they're just retreading old ground. Oh, why would they do that? When the film comes out, they're like, boo, it didn't do it exactly the same. And you're like, what the fuck? Can they not win with you?
Yep.
Because that just annoys me. But people, when I hear that, it's like when Amazing Spider-Man came out, there was a load of people that complained that, oh, it's just going to retell the story from Spider-Man 1, which I was not one of those. I actually liked the idea of Amazing Spider-Man because I didn't like Tobey Maguire, but that's neither here nor there. And then the second the film comes out, like, oh, it just retold the part of the story, but it didn't do it the same. And I'm like, No, it didn't. Because it's not the same film. If you want to see it exactly the same, with the exact same actors doing the exact same thing that you love, pop in your DVD. That's not hard to grasp.
Yep, I can agree with that. But no, Stace, what did you think of the costume?
I thought the costume did take getting used to, but I like the whole lean, like clean look. I didn't notice the red belt. I just saw like straight up blue and then the logo.
Yeah.
I have to watch it again, but yeah, I liked his new costume.
Fair enough. Although I will say, which costume do you prefer? Since I know Jim mentioned the game earlier, which do you prefer, Stace? Do you prefer Superman in this costume? Or did you prefer the Injustice one that highlighted his crotch and then went all the way up, like his crotch was so huge it was pushing down on the weight of the earth?
That's weird.
Okay. Okay, as long as we're clear on that.
That is weird.
I hated that dong costume. They highlight, like literally the red's just over his crotch, then goes up like string all the way up, like it's been weighed down. I'm like, no, don't highlight his crotch. The red's there for, as Marcus pointed out, to break up the colour. It's not there to highlight his crotch.
Yeah.
Be a thong or like a hammock or something.
His Kryptonian dong.
Yeah.
So I will say one thing I did not like about the Man of Steel outfit, and it had more to do with the shooting elements. Again, I saw some of the special features. I don't like the fact that Henry Cavill rarely wore the cape. Most of the movie, the cape was CG, and I'm like, really? You couldn't just put the cape back on him? Because they had a cape, and he did wear it at some points, but for most of the action stuff, the cape was CG, and I'm like, really? You couldn't just put the cape on him? You had to CG that shit?
To be fair, did you know that until you watched the special effects? Because, like you just said, I know this from watching the special effects. No, so it didn't matter. It looked cool. My guess is the reason they didn't really put the cape on him is because they needed it to move in a certain way, or not move, depending on what the fans and stuff we were going forward did.
True.
I did like the cape in this. And I will say they did one thing with this costume right, that I think, Jim, if you're there, I think he's there. Jim, I think you'll agree, they did one thing with the suit Superman Returns did wrong.
Okay.
This film got the dark blues and dark reds brilliantly, so it looks red and blue.
True.
I hated Superman Returns, where his costume, the dark red, it looked brown at times, and I'm like,
It did look brown, yeah, that was weird.
I guess I know what the S stands for.
Also, speaking of costumes, I love what they did with the Kryptonian outfits, like specifically what Zod and Jor-El wore, the suit under the armor and stuff, because it's basically the Kryptonian suit that Superman wore when he came back to life in the comics, the black outfit with the silver chest shield, and I loved that. I was like, that's a nod to that. That's awesome. The fact that became established as a Kryptonian standard like war suit type thing.
It did. I also like the ones that, like, I'm just going to call them the minions were wearing, where the helmet comes up and it's got the display, like almost like a mix between a Scouter and Tron.
Yep, Zod had that too, didn't he?
He did, but on Zod it looked normal. I mean, it looked like normal, like military, more beefed up because he had like slightly bulkier. But like on her, definitely on her, it looked more like a Tron suit and like a Saiyan Scouter and stuff. I liked it though. I did like that.
Mm-hmm.
It did look very Tronish, but it didn't take away from anything. It looked like you were meant to have it.
Yeah, exactly. It looked like it belonged. I just really liked the look of it.
Fair enough. So, was there anything else you guys wanted to mention about the movie before we wrap it up? Because that's pretty much all I wanted to mention.
Yeah, like I said, overall, I liked the film.
Yeah, I mean, I had problems with it, but it wasn't the worst Superman film I've ever seen.
No.
Well, I like that sometimes it cut away to like just the humans, and the humans have their own like, little subplots.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough.
It made it feel like, you're actually fighting for something and not just disease,
See, if you like that, You're gonna love Transformers. I'm joking.
Also,
This
Jim,
is
was that
much better.
Christopher Maloney?
Yes, it was.
I thought so. I liked him. He did a good job with that character.
Yeah.
He did.
And like I said to you, Pew, I was kidding. This is much better than the Transformer films.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we've expounded upon the Man of Steel as much as we can. So let's go ahead, do our final thoughts and any kind of ratings you would like to give it. Buy, sell, rent, numbers, what have you. Let's go out to you for the first wrap up.
Having never seen a Superman movie, like start to finish, I would rate this, I guess, 7. I mean, it was enjoyable. I kind of found it a bit confusing with the flashbacks and stuff, and I prefer just like in storytelling. That's what I prefer. Not that there's anything wrong with this or Superman.
Right.
Product placement was a little shit, but whatever. Didn't like make the movie unwatchable or anything. There's been far worse. So yeah, I just give it a solid 7. It's definitely a good watch, and if you're like a Superman fan, then go definitely. But even if you're not a Superman fan or you haven't seen any of it at all, just a movie by itself, yeah, 7.
Yeah. Speaking of product placement, is UPS the only mail carrier in the city of Metropolis? What the fuck?
It's because everyone loves UPS. UPS are available all in your local cities. Please check them out today.
No, nobody over here likes UPS.
I like UPS and FedEx, but no, I will say with the product placement, I didn't mind the product placement for one reason, as I was discussing with Simon the other day, with you, Marcus. I liked the product placement because, like I said, the fact they had all these real brands meant when you saw the Lex ones and you saw the Wayne ones and stuff, they didn't feel like, oh, it's a shitty little cameo just so we recognize the brand. It's like, oh, it's an established brand. Wait a minute, I know that brand. And I'm like, I like that because it's like they felt like real brands as a result.
I mean, it feel like a real city, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it made it feel like a real city, but it also made like LexCorp and Wayne Tech and stuff feel real as well by extension, because if they were only showing real brands.
True. Very true. But take it away, Mole.
No, fair enough. Like I said, I really did like this film. I had almost no problems with this film. The film was pretty well good from the beginning. It was pretty good from the beginning to the end. It felt like a Superman film, but at the same time felt like what Superman needed to be on the screens in today's world.
Yeah.
They extended a load of his background with the Kryptonian stuff and all that, which was great. Everyone acted brilliantly. I'd say on my scale of rent, buy or avoid, I would say buy this film because it's literally the best Superman film. Hell, I'm going to go so far as to say I would put this in my top 3 or 4 comic book films of all time.
Fair enough. Mr. Phoenix.
But more importantly, Mole, how many Superman Pope hats do you give it?
I give it 1 because there is only 1 Superman Pope hat.
Fair enough.
If I mass-produced it, everyone would have a Pope hat, and thus the need to wear a Pope hat and look smug and better than everyone would stop being. Thus, my Pope hat would become redundant.
True. Anyway, overall, I certainly liked the film. I knew there was no way it could be worse than Superman Returns, so I'm like, that's always a good thing. I'm not sure if I've actually seen all of the Christopher Reeve movies. I'm not positive. I know I've seen at least a few of them. But overall, definitely the best Superman film that I've seen. I think they did a really good job. I did have some issues with some of this stuff, but overall, it had a really great tone. The Krypton stuff was good. They portrayed the character really well. They showed him adapting to the powers, which was new, and I really like that. Perry White, Lois Lane, obviously, Amy Adams, and Lawrence Fishburne did a great job. It was overall not a bad film. I'd probably go to agree with Steve. I'd probably give it about a 7, 7.5 maybe out of 10. There, I think it was a really good movie. A couple of issues here and there, but generally overall a good movie.
Fair enough. I also really enjoyed this movie a lot more than I thought I would. Everything works. The storytelling is fantastic. They actually have a cohesive story in this thing, and it makes sense. And as Vol pointed out, this is Superman for the modern era, and you need that in order for it to survive in theaters these days. And I think they did a really good job of it. I thought it didn't feel like they made it dark for darkness' sake. They made it dark for that reason, and they didn't go over the top with it, so it still felt like Superman.
I also think they made it slightly darker for another reason.
Oh?
They set this film in motion, and they said if it was successful, they were going to use this film to spawn off the entire Justice League and stuff with this.
Mm-hmm.
This is a Superman I could logically see teaming up with a Batman, a Wonder Woman, an Aquaman, and not have each one feel so completely different that it doesn't work as a film. Because while having them so different works in the comics, on the film that doesn't. It's like you couldn't team up Wolverine with fucking the Terminator and have it make sense, and then team them up with Spider-Man played by Tobey Maguire, or team that up with fucking like the Ghostbusters because they feel so different. And obviously some of those are different universes, I'm aware, before anyone says that. It was just the point of, but in terms of making it match like that, it kind of worked. So I can see him meeting any quota of being the Boy Scout we need when he goes get with some people, or being the darker Superman we need at other times.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So yeah, I felt they did really well with this. They cast very, very well. All the primary actors and actresses in this movie were pretty much spot on. So yeah, I really did enjoy this movie. One last thing I did want to mention now that I think about it is the very, very end. When he finally goes to work for the Daily Planet. I love the fact that she already knows that he's Superman. And I love the fact that that's when he decides to adopt the persona of Clark. He is Clark Kent, but the persona of Clark Kent, he like has the glasses and stuff. Although I kind of have to wonder if he waits until he steps into the elevator of the Daily Planet to put the glasses on, why the fuck did anyone recognize him without the glasses? That makes no sense. They should have recognized him without the glasses.
Because of the thing with Superman of people hold him on such high esteem, and oh my god, this is pretty much a god that has saved Metropolis. Would you really believe that same god that just saved Metropolis would be stood next to you in a fucking raincoat?
Sure.
That's why his disguise always works, as Superman explained to Supergirl.
Yeah, that and the fact that he changes his mannerisms and everything too. It's not just the glasses.
Yeah, so you got that as well. His mannerisms and the fact people hold him up to such high status and stuff that no one's going to think twice if he walked past them. Because no one expects that, because they expect him to be living high above them or something. And I'm like, okay, that works.
True.
But yeah, he should have put his glasses on sooner, though.
Yeah.
Although they expect all that, except the government knows better, because he outright told them, I was raised in Kansas.
The government knows
really?
that.
You just told them where you came from.
The government knows that, but to be fair, does the people in the Daily Planet work for the government? Like the regular people on the floor? And I know everyone technically works for the government, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
No, that makes sense. I don't know. That just felt a little off to me. I'm like, wait, he's not wearing his. Like, no, if you're gonna be in public, you need to wear the glasses, Superman.
He does.
But yeah, I thoroughly recommend this movie for anybody who's a DC fan, Superman fan, what have you, and who the hell isn't a Superman fan. Check out this movie. It is a really good movie. It probably is the best Superman movie we've had, live action anyway. So check it out. Form your own opinions, because there's probably going to be things you won't like about it. Hell, you might like the whole thing. So yeah, let us know what you thought of Man of Steel below. or on a board. And tune in next time when I once again show you the light. Thanks for joining me, everybody, and have a happy holidays.